Like there's a few other more that are related.
And the friends would be great.
All right, ready?
Yep.
Okay, we'll go ahead and call. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. This is the Santa Cruz Libraries Facility Financing Authority regular board meeting. It is Thursday, May 1st. And can we start with the roll call, please?
Board Member Coburn.
Here.
Board Member Templeton.
Here.
Board Member Goldstein.
Here.
And Board Member Ligo.
Here, thank you. Are there any additional materials to the agenda? Great. Any additions or deletions to the agenda? All right, we'll move on to public comment. This is the portion of the agenda where any member of the community may address the board on any matter included on today's agenda, the consent agenda, or a topic that's not on the agenda. Is there anyone who'd like to provide public comment? Great.
Good morning. I'm Tony Campbell from the Friends of the Capitola Library. I addressed this almost a year ago today to let you know that we were going to put solar panels on the roof of the library and that Nicole had taken it on. A thankless job, and thank you though. And I'm here to let you know that the RFP for the project went live about 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago, something like that. And we're not doing solar panels only. Turns out that we can afford solar panels and lithium batteries. So this building, by the end of the year, will be in absolute compliance with the county climate action plan out of Dave Reed's office. And representing the 26 people run the bookstore, which is paid for this. You know that we can afford it. The engineering rough estimate was $450,000. And then of course it's going to be the project manager fee, the contingency fee. And then there's this other thing that Jamie and I are chasing down, has to do with a fee from PG&E. And for those of you who know me, you know that I am persistent. And as soon as we find the document that laid out what exactly PG&E is demanding, then I intend to chase down all possibilities of getting that rescinded. And maybe we can, and maybe we can't, and if we can't, then the bookstore at $1 and $2 a book, we can cover it. And we are really happy about this. And know that you won't see a big dip in your budget. This would be a little blip, but you know, it'll buy you some more books, Christopher. And essentially, this donation of ours, which is entirely funded out of the bookstore, is an annuity. It'll last you, 25 years. And eventually, I hope that we can figure out just how much is saving. But the batteries will run the building for 16 hours. Anyway, wanted you to know that. Talked to the Capitola City Council just recently, the same thing. It's a good thing, and we're happy to be able to. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment in the room or online? Any online? All right, and next is the library director's report.
So I provided a written report. Just want to highlight a couple of things. The Boulder Creek awning was just installed and finalized yesterday. I checked it out on the way home. Someone was already sitting under it, which was nice. The headquarters generator project is still underway. That's slated to end sometime in June, but the work is happening right outside all of our offices. And then, yeah, Tony just mentioned the Capitola project. So that was the other highlight from the report. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
I don't have any questions. But I do want to just commend Tony and the entire bookstore staff for all the work that they've done. I think it's really, really remarkable. Her persistence is inspiring. Inspiring. How hard she's pushed for this, because it's, sometimes it's not easy to get things done with government, especially when you're nudging them in a direction that they're not already equipped to go. So I really appreciate it, and I think fruits of your labor will be enjoyed by our community and patrons at the library for generations to come. So thank you.
All right. We don't have to accept a form, do any formal action on that. right? All right, so next is the consent calendar. Anyone would like to discuss anything on the consent calendar? Motion?
I don't necessarily want to pull anything. I just wanted to comment on one.
Go ahead.
Just wanted to mention that it's pretty incredible. There's so much to call out that is being done across all the libraries, but calling out the jail reach patrons program, and that 8 folks came out and went to the libraries and made sure they had active library cards after release. It's just incredible, and I think it's puts a point on the fact that our libraries are not just places for education and community, but they are really social services. So I really wanted to highlight that and shine on the staff that are pulling those programs together. And then the other piece with the challenges we have with the unhoused population and how many of those are families, and some of the stories told in this report about, kids being at the library all day and having programs run with them, learning to knit. So just wanted to really shine on library staff for the incredible social services we're providing through all of our libraries.
Thank you, Michelle. I'll make sure that your comments are traveled down amongst the team. And we do call that out, the LJPA report. So that's great.
No further
No
comments?
comments. I can move approval of the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion by Board Member Colburn, second by Goldstein. Do it all in favor? That work? Yeah. All in favor? Aye. All right, motion passes. All right, general business. So next, let's see, we have no general business on the LFFA agenda, it looks like.
Correct.
So any project updates and comments by board members before we move on to our other agenda?
You already got the capital update.
All right, perfect. All right, so our next LFFA meeting is June 5th at 9 a.m. at the Capitola Branch Library. And with that, we will adjourn the regular meeting of the Library Facility Financing Authority, and we will reconvene the Library Joint Powers Authority meeting. So let's have a roll call.
Board Member Coburn,
Here.
Board Member Templeton.
Here.
Board Member Goldstein.
Here.
Board Member Lipka.
Here. Thank you. Are there any additional materials to the agenda?
No, there are none.
Are there any additions or deletions?
No.
All right, so we will open this agenda up for public comment. Any member of the community that would like to address the board on anything on the consent agenda or anything not on today's agenda, we would love to hear from you. Are there any public comments? All right, seeing none, we will move on to the report by the library director. Dr. Platt.
Thank you. Again, I've submitted a written report. Just want to highlight a couple of things out of it. I do call out in this report that we are monitoring outside funding issues. The Santa Cruz Public Library does not have any direct funding grants from federal government. We do get some support from the state library, and we're lobbying, or we are advocating with our electeds to hopefully preserve some of that funding. If funding decreases for us, the effects will be knock-on effects. Likely, we'll still be able to afford much of what we provide, but a lot of what we provide is in cooperation with a number of other library systems. And if they can no longer afford, then the systems, the operations may degrade a bit, but we're monitoring that. I do also want to mention we've launched our website migration project, and we will provide an update for this board at the next board meeting. But the team is feverishly working away on that as I speak. I also just wanted to give a shout out. We held our all staff day meeting here and at the theater next door last Thursday, and it went very well. The theater was very supportive. But I also want to call out a panel of local agencies that showed and helped educate our team on serving vulnerable populations. So we had someone from City of Santa Cruz Homeless Services, we had someone from the county's mobile health crisis unit, we had Stacy Palau from New Life Addiction Treatment Centers, and we had someone from People First, which does, of course, the directory and also emergency shelters. And that was by and far way the most popular effort of the day because that really was resonating with the people who work in public service, where anyone can walk through the door during the course of the day, as you highlighted, Michelle. So I just wanted to say a public thank you to that team. I know the government agencies are represented here. I also just want to say a public thank you. It's mentioned here in this report, Helga Smith, who has run these meetings for us for how many years? This is her last week. She couldn't make today, but she is retiring and we wish her well. We are in the process, right? Onboarding for replacement. So that's my report. I'm happy to take any questions.
Well, I just want to congratulate Laura. It was great to read in this report that Laura was promoted to the Assistant Director of Libraries. So we really appreciate you. Yeah.
I didn't mean to let.
Any other questions or comments?
Just that we'll miss Helga.
Yeah.
I've worked with her the whole time I've been working for the county, 12 years. So yeah, she'll be missed.
Any public comment on the library director report? Okay, well, we'll move on to the report by the Friends of the Santa Cruz Public Libraries. Okay. Sarah? Do I need to worry about being heard? Are we okay?
Good morning, everyone. I'm so excited to be sharing some great news with you today. Before I start, I did want to comment on the fact that there are issues with advocacy, as we all know, and I wanted to just comment on Christopher's remarks that the Friends of the Santa Cruz Public Libraries now has an advocacy policy, which is brand new, and we are taking very seriously our role in being able to support the libraries as advocates. We did send an official letter to the Institute of Museum and Library Services in sharing our concerns about those losses. It may not have had a huge impact, but we are not daunted, and we will continue to do very important work and be guided by the library in doing that. So we will continue on. I want to share that the Meet Me at the New Downtown Library Festival was a great success this past Saturday. Even in facing, a wild set of weather events right as we were getting set up. We had incredible library programming. Many of you all were there, so I don't need to tell you all the details, but it was a really wonderful experience for the public to come and get to see a lot of library programming that they may not have even been aware of. I personally was surprised at the intensity of the poetry area. I think that area was full and active the entire 3 hours. And I mean, I've just never seen people out in a parking lot doing poetry. So, for such an incredible amount of time, but it is Poetry Month, or it was Poetry Month. And we had just such great work done by our library staff and leadership. I just have to say thank you to them again. I think the public was really excited to be there. We also had great representation from all of the project partners. We had economic development. We had all the housing partners. We had the farmer's market. And people are so curious. They're so interested in knowing what's going on and how do all these partners feel about things. And so it was really exciting to see the public engaging and getting their questions answered. That area, the info desk area, was, I'd say, packed pretty much the whole time. So it was really great to see that public engagement. And last but not least, the Friends were there with our campaign kickoff. We were able to share with the public that we have raised 1.9 of the $3 million goal so far. But we also had a little bit of a surprise announcement because right before the event, we discovered that we were just awarded from the Monterey Peninsula Foundation a $400,000 matching grant. So now we're going to be able to match. The grant takes place over 2 years, so we'll have basically a period from now until November 30th for the first half of the funds. So up to $200,000 by November, we will be able to get a direct 100% match of, and then again next year in that same time frame. So all very exciting. It really is going to allow us to change the tone, I think, of our capital campaign being public. We're able to continue with our philosophy that everyone can be a friend. We really want to make sure that everyone in the community who's served by the library feels like they have a pathway to support it. We actually managed to sell in that 3 hours 75 book plate gifts. So that means that is 75 new friends of the downtown library who we are calling the original friends. And as we continue on through this campaign, everyone who gives a gift will be an original friend of the downtown library. So we have a lot in store. There will be more events and more fun to be had as we move on. So any questions?
Any questions, Sarah? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any public comment on the report by the Friends? All right, moving on to report by the Library Advisory Commission. Do we have a representative? No. Okay. So next on our agenda is the consent calendar. Is there any board member wishing to pull or discuss an item on the consent calendar?
My apologies for bringing it up procedurally at the wrong time, but
Comments?
cut paste to here. Thank you.
Any public comment on the consent calendar? All right, I would entertain a motion.
Move consent.
Second.
Great, we have a motion by Goldstein, second by Templeton. All those in favor? Aye. All right. Next, we will move on to our general business. So our first item is a presentation on the summer reading program by Jessica Goodman, Adult Programs and Services Manager, and Heather Norquist, Youth Programs Manager.
Good morning, everybody. We are here to share our plans for summer reading 2025. Summer reading is a fun program for everyone, but it's also valuable because it helps prevent summer slide, which is learning loss that occurs when children are out of school over the summer and away from structured learning activities. Kids who don't read over the summer fall behind their peers, and when school starts up again, and the effects of this summer slide can last a lifetime. Our summer reading program will be very similar to last year. You can read staff platform along with paper. Last year, we enrolled 2,255 children ages 0 to 11, 415 teens, 1,207, for a total of 3,877 participants. Our numbers continue to grow each year. See, last year, we had a 20% increase for ages 0 to 11, and overall, still not up to the pre-COVID. And it's not really great comparison because of the demographics that have changed. But still aiming for that. Our theme for summer reading is Color Our World, focus on creativity and self-expression. Like last year, our marketing department has come up with a beautiful design that combines the reading log with the event brochure. We'll also hand out single sheets of it. And we're also including QR codes on bookmarks that take people directly to our summer reading page. When they sign up for the program. All our summer reading materials are bilingual. And before, readers can log their reading using either the paper log or the reading stack. For youth incentive, we're partnering with the Friends of the Santa Cruz Public Library, Atlanta Dancing World, and Penny Ice Creamery again. Provide incentives for children and teens. And like last year, in addition to the book and other incentive prizes, we're offering major raffle prizes for children and teens, such as gift certificate for a bike shop and a Kindle Fire tea. We've also added eco-friendly incentives to distribute along with that. Here's a summary of our incentive prizes. I'll talk about the ones for kids and teens. Upon sign up, kids and teens get a certificate for a free graphic novel from Atlanta Fantasy World and a coupon for a free game shoe boardwalk. Then after reading for 5 hours, kids get a free book and teens get an eco-friendly mini coloring book. And coloring book instead of plain coloring pencil. After reading 10 hours, kids get a raffle ticket and a custom sticker designed by a local artist. And that's what the teens get to after 10 hours. We were trying to be more consistent, apply incentives. Staff. After 15 hours, kids and teens get a second raffle ticket and a sprouting pencil. And that's a pencil that you can move, and then when you finish using it, you can set it in the ground and it'll grow and grow. I think it will be a cucumber, either be a cucumber or a tree. And then after 20 hours, kids and teens get a free scoop from Penny Ice Creamery, and they also get a third raffle ticket and a grand prize raffle ticket. And the regular raffle prizes are usually gift certificates from local businesses. And the kids' grand raffle prize is a $500 gift certificate to a local bike shop of their choice. And the grand prizes for teens are the $500 gift certificate to a bike shop, or AirPods, or a Kindle Fire. And Jessica will talk about the adult incentives. The Friends have provided funding for 2 performers at each branch, and some chapters are also funding additional. Along with our regular favorites, such as the Hello Marionette and Carrie Ann, we have new offerings, including several new musical shows, including a bilingual Spanish program, nutrition, and physical fitness. We also have Sean's Music Factory, and high energy musical show. And Village Rhythms, a participatory African drum program. We're also offering anime drumming workshops. Our librarians are offering in-house programs at all the branches, and variety of craft and civic programs at every branch. Some of the highlights
relating to creative self-expression include ink marbling on coasters, techniques in printmaking, and book binding. We're still in the early stages of planning for lunch at the library, but our hope is to provide 2 pop-up programs at 10 summer meal sites where we sign people up for summer reading and distribute books to build home libraries. Studies have shown that the number of books in the home helps predict early reading ability. Children in the highest socioeconomic status have over 5 times the books in their homes as children in the lowest quartile. We've been promoting summer reading at community engagement events. And we've already been at Earth Day, Library Celebration will be at Kids Day on May 3rd, and the Santa Cruz History Fair on May 16th, and the Japanese Cultural Festival on June 7th. Really summer reading and encouraging.
Thanks, Heather. So I'm Jessica Goodman. I manage adult programs and services for the library system. And we have a variety of programs that we're offering this summer for adults. We'll be celebrating color and sparking creativity and just having a lot of really fun learning experiences. So we're going to have master gardeners workshops on pollinator gardening and on container gardening. We have a nature journaling workshop, and we have a bokashi composting workshop where the participants will be making their own kits to take home with use. We have lots of creative expression programs. We have upcycling to give new life to old clothes. We have a laser engraving and laser cutting program that will be at the Idea Fab Labs Makerspace. We have Zentangle drawing, and that's some relaxing pattern drawing. And we also have some mosaic making workshops. More creativity programs. We have pressed flower crafts. We have a make your own watercolor palettes workshop where people will be making watercolors from plants and minerals. And then textile arts with the Santa Cruz Textile Arts Guild. They'll be doing a demo day showing spinning and weaving and dyeing and all kinds of other textile arts. We have a variety of special programs. The Lavender Reader is what Lavender Reader was, a magazine for the LGBTQ community in Santa Cruz in the 80s and 90s. And we're going to have a conversation with the editors and founders of the magazine, and Christopher. And we will also be showcasing all the issues that we have in our special local history collections. We also have an author talk with Alka Joshi. She wrote The Henna Artist. We have ink painting and watercolor art workshops. We have the annual Santa Cruz Shakespeare Talk, a performance of Yemeni Jewish music, and we're going to be kicking off the Santa Cruz Black Film Festival during the week of Juneteenth. We have film screenings of Free for All, which is the documentary about the story of America's public libraries. And we also have the Pride documentary series, which tells the story of the fight for LGBTQ rights in the United States, starting back in the 1950s. Several workshops for folks who love books and writing. We have some book publishing workshops, some book binding workshops, and we have some special poetry writing workshops where people will be writing poems in response to visual works of art. For our prizes, we have a raffle prize donated by Santa Cruz Shakespeare. That's a family package to adult and to youth tickets. Those are for folks who sign up before June 22nd, first 3 weeks of summer reading. At 5 hours, everybody gets an eco-friendly notebook. At 10 hours, everybody gets the waterproof sticker. It's the same one that youth are getting. At 15 hours, it's a raffle for a California State Parks annual pass. And at 20 hours, the grand prize is a family membership to Monterey Bay Aquarium. We are also going to be out in the community this summer. We'll be at Santa Cruz Pride in the parade and the festival. And this year is the 50th anniversary of Pride in Santa Cruz. And we will also be at Juneteenth. That will be our brand new outreach book bike named Gonzo the Great. And Gonzo will be there with our outreach manager, Jesse, at Juneteenth.
Great.
Summer.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is so exciting. Are there questions from board members?
I have one. You mentioned the Fab Lab. Is that in a library or is it the one at the regular building?
It's the one in Wrigley.
Okay, I was a
Yeah.
little confused at first. I was like, we haven't. I was like, oh my gosh, how did I not know this?
Yeah, no, I mean, they have all the equipment and.
Yeah, no,
So
that makes,
try
that
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And then I did have just personal experience comment is that, when I first got an iPad, I remember one of the first apps I downloaded on it was a Kindle app, and I would read on it, and as work got more 24/7 and attention, things drawing in my attention all the time, there was so much more that could be done on my iPad. That Kindle app kind of started to collect dust. And recently I actually got a Kindle Paperwhite, which when I pick up, that all I can do is read. And so I saw that you had in there a raffle for a Kindle Fire, and just want to put a pitch in there that, at least for me, maybe I'm more distractible than others, but that there's some value, I think, in these devices that you can carry an entire world's library around with you, but that's all it does. Because sometimes I find for myself, at least, when the device will do a million other things too, those things can look more important or shiny or whatever, and then I end up not reading as much. So for my own personal sanity, I've actually found it quite helpful. So.
I have a question just about your statistics, and do you look at the differences between what's happening among English speakers and Spanish speakers in terms of participation and just their involvement in a program like this? I worry about just the learning loss that happened with COVID and just the differences we've seen since then. So I'm wondering if you could just speak to that.
That's not something we track language, whether we have, assignments, so we don't. But we do notice at lunch at the library that people do. We give away books for building home libraries, and they are looking for Spanish. That's great, and we provide them. And we always provide them in our assignments. So that's the only way that we. Only way we track it.
I might have missed it, but are any of these programs mobile, like meeting people where they are out in existing programs or community?
The summer lunch, at the library.
Yeah.
And we also, we will be bringing it to the book.
Okay, great.
We were going to have a performance, but then.
I just want to comment, some of the program that's already started is that Free for All documentary. That's also available now on pbs.org. To try and get it out to as many people as possible. I've sat in at the Capitola screening of it, and a really good conversation with the attendees afterwards, and that's happening throughout the other locations as well. So if you're looking for something to watch on a Sunday night, you can go to PBS, watch that. It's pretty enlightening. I'm biased, but.
Great. Are there any members of the public who would like to comment on this? Anyone online? All right, well, thank you both so much. Sounds like an exciting summer.
Thank you.
Okay, next we'll move on to our next general business item, which is the fiscal year 26 budget assumptions and draft budget proposal.
So that's on page 113 of your packet. And I know we've talked about some of these assumptions in the last meeting. I just want to remind that we're still negotiating the MOE. So some of the things that are not reflected in the budget are any changes in the dollar amounts as a result of that, as well as the updated cost agreement to the city of Santa Cruz for support services. And then any impacts from upcoming negotiations with the bargaining this next few months. I did want to, if I can draw your attention to page 131, I did want to talk through some of the increases so you get an idea and can ask questions about those if you'd like. That first one, financial services outside, that's the City of Santa Cruz agreement. So we're just going with what the current agreement says until we get the new dollar figure. So that one just shows an increase of 18,000. That of course will change. But the costs for utilities and janitorial services are going up, partially because the costs are going up, partially because we added in the library index this year. So that's some of the explanation for those increases. And we are still negotiating some of the details of the annex utilities with county parks as of this week. So hopefully we'll have that finished very shortly. The advertising increase and supplies and services, these are reflective of mostly the programming costs and a lot of the costs with what you just saw, the summer reading program, which we're going out to the Friends. Sarah and I have been strategically going to the Friends chapters to ask for a more defined commitment year in and year out so that we can be more strategic about planning these programs and that know that an anticipation for funding will be there and not being reactive to here's $1,000, here's $2,000, you know, that kind of thing. The advertising in particular, Anna Maria Treadwell and I have been talking about making sure that we are getting advertising in Spanish reading newspapers and the radio. So that's where some of that is there to your earlier point. And then the computer equipment line of for 232,000, we actually put this as a one-time cost for 200,000. Here, I flagged this for you. This is a wireless infrastructure project that we need to do to upgrade wireless throughout the system. We're hopefully going to benefit from a grant for it that will ultimately reimburse 60% of that going forward. But we did have to budget the full amount in our one list for this year. And then the other thing I'll just mention and this is reflected on page 128. These aren't necessarily increases, but if you look at the one-time costs for this coming year, the $604,000, that's the actual cost for the City of Santa Cruz NATE implementation. That's the transfer to Workday, which we rely on for finance and HR. So that's one-time cost plus the first year subscription. That cost will go down in coming years. I think it's around 55,000 if I remember correctly. And then that 394,087, that's reflective of an action you guys took last year to restore the materials budget to 10%. And so we budgeted it as one-time costs this year again. And so that's what that number is. Those are the big things I wanted to point out to you. I'm happy to answer questions on those or any of the other things. And if either I can't answer today, we will get you answers after the meeting.
Any questions from board members?
I just wanted to know, I was interested to see the fund balance keeps inching up in terms of the size. It's almost, it's getting almost triple our reserve just in total between the reserve and uncommitted fund balance. So it's interesting to me. Yeah.
So there was, if you look at the audit, there was some, their spending the year leading up to when I arrived, and some of that is, I think, well over 400,000 of that was personnel costs, of course, that weren't spent.
Right.
Without a director, there were numerous positions went open when I arrived. So some of that is reflected like that, tightening up the budget going forward. There are other projects on the horizon that we're just being mindful of bandwidth on. After the website, we'll have strategic planning and then we'll have an organizational assessment. We also, I put in the work plan to do, to cost out what it would look like to do bilingual signage throughout all of our locations. And that will come back with a cost. I didn't put a dollar amount in that yet. And then there are other things that we can do. Is only so many people to do them in a given year. So
Right.
but
your personnel, what kind of vacancy rate are you assuming? Because we're part of this MOE contribution negotiation. You know, depends on what the size of the life is, and then we're trying to back into what City of Santa Cruz might be able to afford, and then how we might have to or deal with any increases. So to the extent the budget is set at a higher level and then it actually comes in at a lower level, that then continues to just increase our fund balance and also increase the City of Santa Cruz funding requirements. So
Do
Yeah.
we know what vacancy rate we?
We don't have a vacancy rate anymore. the city has converted to studying the last year or 2 years, and then they come up for each department, the vacancy factor.
for salary savings,
Yeah, we no longer have a vacancy rate, it's just a vacancy factor based on dollars from previous years, maybe Michelle.
Yeah, okay.
Right, your point.
Yeah, I mean, it seems we've historically had significant savings within the budget, so I almost wonder if at some point, maybe even in this budget, you know, we've done this at the county where we just have a line item reversion, you know, based on historical practice. We could just, if we wanted, you know, consider doing some sort of line item reversion just for savings overall in the budget. Just an idea for us to think about. Yeah,
So we sort of used to do that, right, Kira? We had like the 660 or something was like our vacancy factor that we plugged them.
70.
770. I remember it being somewhat
Yeah.
symmetrical.
And, this year and last year it was more around the $1 million mark that was factored in.
And that's based on historical,
Yes.
where we've might be already baked in considering if we're using historical averages with the amount of vacancies we've had in the past. I was almost thinking we might overshoot it.
okay.
I mean, if we're getting ourselves to fully staffed where we haven't been.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, that is
hiring
true.
after COVID was very hard for the library and everybody else. Now I feel like that's gotten much better.
Is your staffing, like at the county, we're starting to see full staffing in departments, given what's going on, so. Seeing something similar, we could see it swing in the other.
We're, you know, and we have tightened up hiring practices with the city and, in cooperation with HR over the last 6 months. So some of the hiring is happening more quickly than it's happened. So, before I got here. But yeah, we do work stuff. We have 3 vacancies. So, you know, those things will happen, but we don't necessarily see a churn, especially mid-level staff.
Jamie, or Nicole?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm good, yeah.
A couple questions. The sales tax. So I think this may be a question more for you, Nicole. You're projecting an actual decrease for next fiscal.
We are, and, we haven't met with HDL yet for the most recent quarter, but I think we're thinking it might go down even further. I mean, they were projecting a decline, and then we're just nervous with everything happening, how consumer spending will be impacted, and if there's an even further decline in the sales tax.
Interesting. I think HDL had us at 2.5 and I took us down to 2 growth for our city and our budget.
At county, for county sales taxes, we're also anticipating a decline.
Yeah, we just met with HDL last week and it was flat at best.
And if I recall, Michelle, I think you all are maybe anticipating a decline too. I heard that from Carlos. Yeah, Yeah,
And not major, but, you know, we're looking at HDL between sales tax and then other revenue sources that are new and coming in.
yeah.
Flatter.
Well, I mean, I guess since right now, at least the budget is negative, if it did come in flat,
Mhm.
it's still, that would just be upside. It's not a terribly huge deal. Okay, next question is the, last year we talked about Sunday hours. And we closed a couple branches on Sundays and we did some analysis and decided based on the analysis that rather than going to kind of a dual branch system that was maybe closer to more people, we would focus the Sunday hours on Maine due to the, some of the demographic characteristics closer to Maine. But we said that wasn't like a permanent decision. It wasn't like the always way we were gonna do it. Is this budget continue that?
It does, as structured. If you want to see, I've done a proposal for expanded hours last fall. We can bring that back as part of the next conversation if that's something you guys want to entertain.
Okay. And I don't remember, maybe Kira, maybe you remember, we looked at two branches and I want to say it was Capitol and Scotts Valley maybe, or Aptos and Capitol and Scotts Valley.
Scenarios.
Yeah,
Last year.
and there's different demographic characteristics. In one case, you had more population that had higher drive time, more seniors. In the main case, you had smaller population, but increased poverty and youth. And I thought the costs were like ballpark similar. But that's based on memory from a year ago, so.
And then I think there was also a separate analysis that did based on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, a separate analysis for Sunday only.
That analysis, just to remind you, included Sunday hours for Capitol and Belton and expanded hours for Scotts Valley.
Right. Okay.
So our proposal runs 4 days a week at the moment. We could run it 4 days of the week. We could reach parts.
Okay, and then this last question is maybe more of a comment than a question. We recently have done an RFP for the janitorial contracts.
I have to check with the city on whether, because we're on a citywide contract.
Oh, okay, not a citywide
I
contract.
don't know what their schedule is for the next RFP.
Okay, well, we just did this Capitol and we discovered it had been quite a long time and we ended up with better service and lower costs. And we were like, yeah, I realized I think it'd been like more than 10 years, 12 years or something like that. So just, I guess if it's a city of Santa Cruz thing, if you're piggybacking on that contract, we found value in going through that process. That's a comment, wasn't a question, really, was it? Comments for later, I guess, same.
Okay, I have a quick question, which is just, we have the IT Wi-Fi project this year. Do we have like a 5-year IT capital plan? Like, do we know this year, these are the projects and next year, these servers need to be replaced and in 3 years? So that we can just be looking, kind of planning ahead on IT infrastructure?
So I'm gonna let Kira weigh in and say this out loud. We're in the middle of a plan now, so
Okay.
we're replacing servers centrally at headquarters in conjunction with moving some out of the downtown building into our building.
Okay.
That's related to the generator project down there. The generator has to be there first before they can move the servers in. That's the next big project for that. This wireless project is hot on the heels of that. The other thing that just wrapped up was a PC replacement project, which was also part of their plan. And I believe that's close now.
That's on the schedule.
That's on schedule. But I can follow up with Carlos Silva and get more response from
All right, if there's no other questions from board members, I'll see if there's any public comment on the proposed budget. No? Okay, bring it back for comments. Did you have more comments?
I did. One is, obviously the MOE is kind of the giant elephant in the room, as well as the Santa Cruz City Service contract. So we're gonna need to get that done. That's not a reflection on any staff member, that's a reflection on us, board members. So, we're gonna need to work that out, soon. I did have a thought kind of related to the fund balance and materials is maybe if we're able to work out the MOE and we're able to bring more resources into the library, maybe there's a way that staff could think about further augmentation on the materials side, but maybe on the the digital side, if you see the demand there. I think I've heard in the past that often it can be quite expensive for the digital stuff, and maybe it's not that hard to augment it in some way, and maybe there would be, if we have more resources available, a pretty easy way to say, okay, here's 200K more for that, and that would provide a better service.
Yes, and that conversation is already underway.
Great.
We have a team coming together to revisit a digital strategy for what our digital content is on the library. We've subscribed to a lot of things over the years, and we're looking at what's actually getting used. And then hand in hand with that is we will be getting less money from the state for some of our digital content. A lot of what you check out on our Libby app right now is part of the consortium, and we feed that with California State Library Services monies that are just have been decreasing over the years. So we're not anticipating actually getting more next year. So we are looking at that as well. So that, Jamie, to your point, there are two opportunities to look at that as we go forward.
Okay. And then my second comment is I think, I think the whole Sunday hours conversation is maybe we need a couple scenarios in the final budget or something to talk about, because I think it's a little bit of an alive issue at this point. It's like, where are we putting our resources? Where are we doing our Sunday hours? So, maybe a scenario where we did augment, for the branches you discussed, the cost scenario you prepared for us, showing Sunday hours in Belden, Capitola, and then expanded hours in Santa Cruz, in Scotts Valley and Aptos. And then what that Santa Cruz Sunday hour cost was. We looked at it last year, and don't redo all the analysis, maybe just throw a 3% growth on it or something. I think as long as we're kind of understanding orders of magnitude of what we're talking about, that might be helpful.
Perfect.
Yeah, I found the analysis you did for us, and it was about 300,000 to add Sunday hours at Capitol and Felton, and then some augmented hours in Aptos and Scotts Valley. And I think those of us who belong in the library fund, because there's so much money there, we're very interested in providing additional service to the residents who use our branches. So I think regardless of how we sort out the MOE with Santa Cruz, I think we're gonna try to see if we can put additional money into the system to add those hours. So I would be supportive, especially for our branches, of having that as an option in the next budget that comes forward. And then hopefully I think we meet with Matt next week. So hopefully we can get closer to having a number for you and getting some resolution on the MOE.
Any other discussion? This is just a discussion item. We'll be bringing the budget back in June, so. Okay, anything else? Okay, next on the agenda is comments by board members. Any comments?
We all made it to the right location, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm kind of self-congratulating here in this case.
I was basically forgetting.
Yeah, now that I said, yeah, and that's not here too. Or maybe he's in Boulder Creek, actually.
All right, well, again, our next scheduled meeting will be June 5th at the Capitola branch. And so hopefully Jamie will. And with that, we will adjourn.